Hello, Aries. I don't know what time it is for you right now. Maybe you're listening to this in the stillness of the night, wide awake. Or maybe the first light of morning is just slipping through your window. But I believe this much: if you're here, it's not by accident. Because October 4th, 2025 isn't just another date on the calendar. It's the biggest turning point of your life. A day when the universe pulls back the curtain of destiny and whispers, "It's time, child. It's time to know the truth." So if your heart feels ready, I invite you now to take a deep breath, close your eyes, and step gently into the first layer of this journey where the final truths begin to reveal themselves. Close your eyes just for a moment and listen, not with your ears but with your heart, because inside that stillness there's a soft whisper. It's time. A voice not coming from the outside world, but from the deepest place within you, a place no one around you has ever touched. October 4th, 2025 isn't just another day. It's a gateway of light, a karmic doorway, a day when the universe decides to pull back the mist that has veiled the truth of your life. Like a gentle wind turning the page of destiny, each old chapter is suddenly lit up, and you realize what once felt meaningless, the pain, the losses, the people who came and went, were all pieces of an invisible design. You've asked yourself before, why did that happen to me? Why has the path been so winding? Why did I have to carry so much while others walked lightly? But today, I invite you to ask a different question, deeper, braver. What if the pain you've lived through wasn't sent to punish you, but to shape you? Breathe slowly now. Imagine every pain as a flame. Every time you refuse to give up, as one more step across burning coals. And today, you are no longer the one being burned. You are the light rising from the fire itself. The universe doesn't owe you an explanation, but today, it offers you a truth not always easy, but always freeing. On this rare day, cosmic energies converge like a sacred test. Pluto, the planet of transformation, stirs the hidden waters of your subconscious, while the echoes of September's supermoon still hum through your soul, like a meditation song that hasn't yet ended. And then something strange begins to happen. You start remembering what you thought you'd forgotten. A glance, a word, a dream, a strange sensation deep in your chest. Maybe it's a betrayal you tried to ignore, a fear you buried, a mistake you've never forgiven yourself for. But this time, the truth comes not to blame you, but to set you free. The universe whispers, you can't carry these old memories into the new chapter. And you realize, you are not late, you are not lost. You have simply been prepared more carefully than others for something greater. The lesson is not in what you've lost, but in how you've learned the value of what no longer remains. Because truth is not just light. It's the lamp in the darkness, guiding you so you no longer stumble in confusion. And as the mist begins to clear, as you start to see why your path has been so uneven, that's the moment you step into a deeper layer of awakening, where you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and begin to ask, "How can I use this truth to transform myself?" This is the sacred moment the Buddha spoke of, when suffering is no longer suffering but the seed of awakening. And then another question emerges, not from the heavens above, but from the eyes of those who have walked beside you. What happens when the truth doesn't just rise from within, but from the people closest to you? And that will be another lesson just as deep, just as challenging, and just as necessary. Something strange tends to happen every time you step into a new stage of growth. The people around you start to change, not always in loud, dramatic ways. Sometimes it's just a slower glance, a comment with a little edge, a small pause in conversation that slowly, quietly turns into silence. The universe has a subtle way of testing your relationships. It doesn't ask you the question directly. Instead, life begins to whisper. Who's truly walking with you when you're no longer the person you used to be? Aries, you are fire, and every time you burn brighter, some will feel your warmth and others will turn away because your light forces them to see their own shadows they're not ready to face. Some will come closer. They'll embrace your growth like a blessing, but others, they'll step back not out of hate, but out of fear. And sometimes, the ones who step back are the ones you trusted most, a close friend, a former partner, even a family member. They once held your hand tightly, said they'd walk with you forever, but when you started to change, to speak your truth, to live by your values, they stepped away. Not because they stopped loving you, but because they didn't know how to love the you they couldn't control. Their resistance doesn't always come from malice. Sometimes it's fear of being left behind. Sometimes it's their old wound speaking. Sometimes it's the helplessness of not knowing how to love someone who refuses to shrink to fit anymore. Some people love you, but they don't have the courage to grow with you, and that is something we must learn to forgive. Forgiveness doesn't mean you keep them in your life. It means you free yourself from the karmic loop of holding on to what no longer reflects your light. Imagine your soul as a garden. There are flowers that only bloom during your very first spring, and by the time autumn comes, they fade, making room for something new, something more in tune with the season you're stepping into. Ending a relationship doesn't mean you failed. It means you're being called to live more honestly, more bravely, more in alignment with your soul. I know some relationships end without a fight. No words, no anger, just distance that grows until one day there's no one left on the other end of the line, and you ask yourself, what did I do wrong? But maybe you didn't do anything wrong. Maybe you just evolved, and evolution has a way of filtering out the connections that no longer harmonize with your path. Maybe you listening to this right now have felt it too. A friend turning cold when you started speaking your truth. A partner leaving when you finally followed your dream. A family member pulling away when you chose healing over silence. I invite you to share your story beneath this video, because someone somewhere is sitting in silence too. They're hurting. They're wondering if they are alone. And maybe, just maybe, your story is the light they've been waiting for. Write it down, not for attention, but as a sacred confirmation that you made it through, and you still choose love, even when others didn't know how to love you back. Every relationship is a mirror. Some show you your light, others distort your reflection. Your task, Aries, isn't to keep every mirror, it's to be clear-eyed enough to know which ones reflect you as you truly are, because in the end, what remains isn't them, it's you and the wounds that are finally ready to speak. Sometimes it's not the silence of the world that breaks you, but the smallest noise from within, fleeting dream, a glance from a memory, a single tear, falling at a moment when no one even touched you. That's not a sign of weakness, it's a sign that your soul is starting to breathe again. After years of being held back, you've been taught many times in life how to endure, how to stay quiet, how to hold it all in. But few ever teach you how to let go, how to sit with your feelings without shame, how to cry without believing it makes you small. Aries, you are strong, but real strength isn't about holding back your tears. It's about having the courage to let them fall when the moment calls for it. There are nights you wake up breathless, soaked in sweat, heart pounding from a dream you can't explain. That dream wasn't random, it was your memory speaking. A hidden pain finally surfacing. It's the past, taking one last breath before letting go. No longer hiding in the corners of your subconscious. Sometimes a song, a familiar street, or a distant scent is all it takes to make your eyes wet. That's not weakness, that's your heart cleansing itself. You're not falling apart, you're purifying. Emotional release is not collapse, it's a sacred rite of inner transformation, like water rushing through a rocky stream, carrying away the mud, leaving behind a clear riverbed, light and free. After the storm, in Buddhist wisdom there's a saying, soft as incense smoke. Suffering wasn't born for you to carry forever, but to be released at the right time. And Aries, this is that time to breathe deeply and say to your pain, I hear you and now I set you free. Pain, if you listen, becomes a teacher, and once the lesson is learned, that teacher will leave, quietly making space for freedom, clarity, and the peace you thought was lost. Have you noticed? When your emotions are released, your face softens. Your eyes no longer avoid the light. Your voice becomes warmer because your energy has shifted. Your pain is no longer a burden. It becomes the bridge, and you, Aries, you are walking across it. No one steps into freedom without walking through the dark first. And no one truly finds the light until they've seen themselves in the mirror, while crying, while shaking, while being honest. The moment you stop running from your emotions is the moment you begin to live fully. And remember, you're not alone. There are others just like you, healing quietly in the dark. When you choose to face your wounds, you create a path that others will be brave enough to walk to. And that is the greatest gift you can offer this life, the real, raw presence of a soul who's been hurt and made it through. The moment you touch the truth inside you is the moment new things begin to arrive. Freedom isn't a destination, it's what comes. When you've been honest with yourself, and when emotions are finally released, you feel lighter, and it's in that moment when the weight lifts that a financial opportunity appears, as if the universe had simply been waiting for you to be ready. Don't try to overthink this. Just let me tell you a little story. Once upon a time, there was a man who lived by the river. Every day he rowed upstream, chasing prosperity. He believed that if he worked hard enough, if he sacrificed more than others, if he gave up sleep and joy, eventually he'd catch the current of wealth. But day after day, all he found was exhaustion. The river kept flowing, time kept moving, and he was stuck, struggling against the current. One day he let go of the oars, not out of defeat, but because he was simply too tired, and something strange happened. The moment he stopped trying so hard, the current began to carry his boat in the very direction he had once resisted. It led him to a peaceful bend in the river, where there was sunlight, where the fish were plenty, where the trees bore sweet fruit on both sides. What he had searched for was never far away, it was waiting, just downstream. Aries, that's true for you too. When you believe you have to chase opportunity, to grind, push, and exhaust yourself for success, you're actually swimming upstream, against your own natural flow. But when you start to heal, when you begin living in your true frequency, when you stop forcing and start aligning, that's when everything begins to find you. Wealth is no longer a race, it becomes a response to how true you're living. But remember this, real financial opportunities don't arrive wrapped in ribbons and ease. They often show up in disguise, a project that makes you nervous, an invitation that stretches your comfort zone, an investment you're unsure how to handle. These aren't gifts, they are tests, because the universe doesn't hand out blessings without intention. It wants to know, are you truly ready to hold what's already yours? Ever wondered why some people get lucky, only to lose it all later? It's not because they weren't lucky, it's because they weren't ready. They didn't have the depth to hold it. And like water, opportunity flows where it finds enough depth. So the question is not, how do I make more money? But rather, am I deep enough, wise enough, brave enough to receive it? In the spiritual path, money is not the goal, it's the effect. The result of harmony between your inner energy and the faith you place in the universe. When you invest in yourself, with time, with belief, with action, the universe invests back, but not in the way you expect. It sends you challenges, not applause. It puts a door in front of you, but doesn't tell you where the key is. And then it waits to see if you'll be patient enough and wise enough to find it yourself. True wealth isn't just money, it's inner freedom. It's when you're no longer making choices out of fear of being broke. It's when you can say no to what doesn't serve you because you know you're meant for something greater. And when you stand on that kind of foundation, money starts to flow, like rivers returning to the sea, like light pouring into a place where darkness has finally lifted. If you're hearing this, and you're standing at the edge of a decision, at the doorway of a new opportunity, place your hand on your heart and ask yourself honestly, am I choosing this out of fear or out of faith? Because choices made from fear create limits, but choices made from trust open doors. And if something deep within you has been calling, tapping every night inside your chest, maybe, just maybe, you're already ready to walk through that door. But there's one kind of wealth even greater than money, and that is the reason you were born. On every soul's journey, there comes a moment when time feels like it stops. No more noise, no more pressure, no more questions shouting from the outside world. Only one thing echoes in your heart. It's time to live the reason you were born. Aries, can you feel that moment arriving? Lately, you may have found yourself waking up at 3 a.m., Not because of a sound, but because something inside you is stirring. Maybe it's a strange dream. Maybe it's the repeated numbers 111, 444, 777, flashing on clocks, receipts, license plates, like a whisper from a higher world. Those numbers aren't random. They are sacred messages from God, from the universe, from a guiding force that has been walking beside you your entire life. And now it's speaking. My child of light, you've endured enough. Now it's time to rise into the mission you were born to carry. You were not sent here just to survive the days. You weren't born to run in circles and lose yourself in the noise. You came here to clear the way for the light, to lead others who are still lost, to burn with a fire no one can extinguish, the fire of your purpose. And that purpose, it's not a burden, it's an invitation, a gentle calling you cannot ignore. Like a voice from a place you once knew, from a time before your soul had a name or form. There will be fear, because answering this call means leaving the old path, letting go of false safety, letting go of the version of you others wanted you to be. But on the other side of that fear is the place your heart has always searched for, a place where you don't have to shrink, where you don't have to pretend to fit in because you were always meant to stand out. Aries, you are the pioneer, but this journey, it's no longer about the race or the win. It's about awakening. It's about walking in your truth, not to prove anything, but to lead, not for status, but because your soul has to. You can't pretend anymore. You can't hold it in. You were born to set the world on fire with truth. And if you've been waiting for a sign, this is it. God would not let you hear these words if your soul wasn't ready. No one is called by accident, only those who are already awakening. So place your hand over your heart and ask quietly, what am I being called to do? Don't rush the answer, let the pieces come. It may be a flash of inspiration while pouring your coffee, a surprising email from someone you didn't expect, an opportunity that makes your heart race. Even if you don't fully understand why, or maybe just a quiet feeling, as if someone is standing beside you whispering, go, I'm here. When that feeling comes, don't silence it. Write it down, give it shape, treat it like a sacred contract with your soul, and share what you're feeling in the comments below this video. Because when you write it out loud, you don't just affirm it to yourself, you send a signal to the universe. I'm ready. And if you feel a stillness opening inside you right now, don't fill it with noise. Let that stillness lead you to something holier than any goal you've ever set. The universe may open the door, but the question is, will you have the faith to walk through it? No one can live your life for you. No one can walk through the door that's waiting for you to open, and no miracle ever happens if all you do is stand there and stare. Aries, after everything you've heard, everything you've felt, everything your heart has remembered deep inside, this is the moment you're being asked the most important question of all. Will you dare to step forward? The universe can send you signs. God can knock on your heart in 1,000 quiet ways, but nothing will happen unless you open the door, unless you reach out, unless you keep walking the path your soul named a long time ago. Some opportunities appear only once and never again in the same form. A phone call you haven't answered, an email you started writing then closed, a sudden idea at sunset, but you let it drift away with the light. You say you're waiting. You tell yourself, I'm not ready yet. But the truth is, it's not time you're missing, it's trust. Trust in yourself. So if not now, then when will you finally choose to live true to who you are? Your action doesn't have to be big. It doesn't need to be a grand performance. Sometimes it's simply saying, I want to. After years of living in, I have to. Sometimes it's writing down a real, raw thought on social media instead of holding back tears in silence. Sometimes it's sending your resume to that dream job, even if your hands are shaking. Sometimes it's turning to the dream you buried long ago and whispering, can we try again? Aries, destiny doesn't arrive like a lightning bolt. It comes like a breeze, and you might miss it if you're always waiting for a loud explosion. We think we need certainty, but what you really need is just one small step. Everything else, it will reveal itself once you start moving. Perfection is not required. The universe only wants to know, are you willing to be honest enough with yourself to take the first step even if you're still afraid. October 4, 2025 is not the day the world changes you. It's the day you decide to return to yourself, to choose courage over delay, to choose your inner voice over the noise, to choose movement over hesitation. And right now, if you hear something stirring in your heart, a soft, clear whisper saying, "I have to do this," then don't wait for things to be perfect. Wait for your truth to rise up and shine, because action, not overthinking, not wishful praying, is the key that activates destiny. Action is your declaration that, "I'm ready to receive the good the universe has been saving for me." And in the moment you dare to step out of the shadow, something soft, something pure, will gently tap you on the shoulder. A healing from a place you never expected, not from outside, but from your own heart, from the place where light has always lived, just waiting for you to return. Because when your heart is at peace, it will lead you home.